force mode.impulse. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a kick. When we spawn it, we're going to give it a kick, which won't work. Because add force actually wants a vector, right? Obviously, it needs to know what direction the force is going into. And what direction is it going to be going into? Well, it's going to be going forward based on the camera. So we can go camera.transform.forward, the forward direction from the camera, multiplied by the bullet impulse. And now, quit play. Boom! Holy crap. There it goes. Boom. It has a tendency to clip through these objects, because it's actually traveling quite a high speed. We should be able to resolve that. If we go into our prefab, I think if we change the collision detection to continuous, then that should enable it, even though it's moving at really high speed, there we go, to properly bounce off things. Because the problem is this ball is very small. Oh, there they are. I'm like, God damn it, they're still disappearing. This ball is very small and moving very fast. See, it can still, on occasion, woo! Oh, that's cool, man. Boom! Right into space. Can still, on occasion, potentially, yeah, see right here, it's because it's spawning and moving so fast, it can still be a bit of an issue. There's the reason that you don't do bullets in these games is while you can increase the sensitivity of the physics simulator dramatically. Oh, frack. Crashed again. Oh, I think we may be coming back. Yes, no, no. Should be back now. Should have just done this for YouTube. Did it reset my description again? It's still not taking it. What the hell, Twitch? It's actually not coming back on my side. The internet is still working. Yes, the internet is working fine. It keeps losing my description too. I keep updating it and then it keeps getting reset. This is so frustrating. It's so fucking frustrating. Okay, I'm live again. Good. All right. What was I saying? Oh yes. So this can still on occasion clip through an object. Still frozen? I'm not getting an image. Alright, people are saying it's live. It's just not live for me, because, I mean, why would it be working for me? Alright, so to get back to this. These balls move so fast and are so small, they can still, on occasion, clip through the edge of an object, which I think is what's going there. This is why you don't use real physics for super fast moving objects like bullets. You have to kind of work around it, even if you're trying to make relatively accurate bullets with gravity and stuff. You tend to build them on your own, not using the direct physics engine, because it just doesn't work out. Now, if we kill the speed, let's bring it down to maybe a 20. At this point, it should probably be going slow enough. Yeah, now it's just like we're weakly throwing a ball. Right? It's actually rather pathetic. Boo! Oh, I can actually go fairly decent. So it's getting pulled down by gravity. So I guess, yeah, if we're shooting it kind of up, you can actually get a pretty good distance. All right, that's fine. So if we want to shoot this guy, there we go. We hit him that first time. Nope, a little too high. There, boom. It's just passing through. Is the collision box not where I thought it was on these things? Oh ho ho. No, it should be good. Make the ball a little bit bigger. I don't want to fuss too much with this. I mean, I had enough of like fussing with physics systems with my pinball game. You can actually, here you go. That's the other thing you can do. You can greatly improve the fidelity of the physics by going to the physics system here and increasing, no, not here. Going to project, going to time, and decreasing the fixed time step. So right now it's doing 50 simulations per second. We could make it maybe 100 simulations per second. As long as your physics system isn't overly complicated. There we go. You're not going to kill the CPU, and then you're going to get a much, much better simulation. Let me stop this. Let me redock this over here so you guys can see again. Well, I mean, you guys could see in the other scene. There we go. That feels much better. And in practice, that's what you do. When you need things to work and they're clipping through each other, you just have to increase how much CPU power you're sending into your physics simulation. But it can be quite costly, especially as you get more and more of these objects. And of course, these... That's weird. Oh, I bet you it's still hitting. It's hitting my player. But I was gonna say these balls bounce against each other. They're like pool balls right now, and I will crush the computer at some point if I just keep spawning these. Which is why anything that's physics based, you want to either have them stop at some point, you know, sleep. If they're not moving and they're not bouncing against anything else, then they go to sleep and they no longer use any CPU, so that's good. Or you want them to kill themselves after a certain amount of time. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to have the bullets actually spawn slightly outside of the out of me. So we're going to take the current position. So instead of spawning it right inside of us, we're going to spawn inside of us plus probably just one tick of the forward vector is actually going to be just fine. Technically a half of one is probably fine. There we go. There we go. Now everything's working exactly the way it should. All right, so that's number one. So we want these things to expire after a certain amount of time, and also, more specifically, if they hit anything, they should explode. They're thermal detonators, right? And frankly, if they're going to explode when they hit anything, they almost don't need to die after they expire. The exception would be if we happen to shoot it outside of the playfield like this, then we might lose them. But other than that, if they hit anything and they just go, whoosh, well, that'll be great. So where do we do that? Basically, we need to add a script to our actual bullet. Once we've fired it, our player has nothing to do with it anymore. It's in terms of the bullet's behavior. So we are going to create a new script. And we're going to call this one B underscore, or maybe we'll go bullet underscore thermal detonator, right? And the thing is, we might have a common script for all bullets. Right now, we're just going to do this special case, and we'll see where it goes from there. So we go to our prefab. And this, with the new Unity interface, I find it kind of hard to drag from one prefab to another, but I can go down here, add a component, script, and we're going to add the thermal detonator script to it. Lovely. So what does the script do? Well, when the bullet runs into something, void on collision enter. For now, let's just destroy ourselves. Boom. It looks like it's passing through things, but it's not. It's as soon as it's hitting something, it's going away. I mean, it was quite cool to watch it bounce around, though. In a lot of games, you have things like grenades and things like that that will bounce off geometry, but if they hit an enemy for some reason, they explode. I don't know how it tells the difference, like, in reality, based on that, but it's actually quite a good mechanic in-game. So you can do these indirect shots, but if it hits a player, if it's an actual target, then it'll detonate there. Or if it comes to rest and then after a certain amount of time passes, then it explodes. Why not? Well, let's do something smart like that. So we don't want it to explode on all collisions. Let's go and do the timer thing, though. So it explodes when it runs out of time. So what we need is something called lifespan, right? Let's say it starts off at a 3-second lifespan. Every time we update, every frame, we're going to take our lifespan and reduce it by the amount of time that has gone by. If lifespan is less than or equal to 0, then explode. So what is an explosion going to do? Well, one, it's going to destroy us. But it's also going to create some sort of explosion effect, right? Let's test this first. Compiler errors. Oh. Wow, I'm so JavaScripty these days. So we can drop this down to 3 and boom, it went away. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, that's timing right. It lasts for 3 seconds and it goes away. How do I make an explosion? Particle effects, all kinds of things. You know, if we wanted this to be really cool, I don't know if this is a good idea, but it's an idea. We could take our bullet here. Let's drop it into the view. Look, that's the game view. Take our bullet here and take a point light, stick it inside the bullet, center it on the actual bullet itself, change the range to be just 1, change the intensity down to 0.5, and make it into bright red light. And then apply that. So now, while we are still limited by the number of point lights, see, now they glow. They glow up until we run out of point lights, and then it becomes kind of sucky. But it looks pretty good up until then. And again, you have to work around things. You fake the point light with projectors. Do you is this something that there's only ever going to be a couple of them on the screen at once? But the effect is good, right? Because the problem was before they were looking kind of fake, because you'll see if I shoot too many out, the ones that don't have the point light inside of them, I mean, they glow, like they're self-illuminated, so they glow bright, but it doesn't seem right up until you've got the effect around it. But in practice, you don't actually need a real light around this. What you'd want if you had Unity Pro is all you want to do is put a little soften blur around them, and that would be pretty good. And again, you could actually fake this with, if the ball was a little bigger and you were using some sort of transparent texture to make the edges just a little feathered, it would actually look pretty damn good. But for now, good enough. All right, so they go away. We want them to explode, and that basically means a particle system. So let's drop one of these balls on the ground, center on them. Good, good, good. Just to get a good size. And we're going to create a new object, an empty. We're really closing in on the end of this. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Before I do the explosion effects, let's get the game logic down so that when we hit a target. So we want these targets. How are we going to work this? There's a couple of different ways we can do it. We could give them a tag. We could create a tag called enemy, And when the ball, when our bullet hits something, it checks to see what the tag of the thing it hit is, because it actually gets a collision variable passed to it. And we can check things. So collision dot game object dot tag equals enemy, right? We could do a test like that. If that's true, then this is when it detonates, and this is when it also blows up the enemy. And that's actually the easiest way to do it. We may want more sophisticated things later on where the enemies actually have some sort of like a health script on them. And instead what we do, instead of checking to see if it had the enemy tag, although we could still do that, we could instead check the game object. Do you have a health script on you? In which case, we will detonate and apply damage to your health script. And then your health script is meant to determine what are you supposed to do when you explode. Right, so kind of like that, but if has enemy okay, so what we're going to do is add a tag called enemy. Oh, that's a layer. We don't want a layer. We want a tag. So now we can take this. We can take all of these actually, tag them as enemies, and also apply that to the prefab itself, which is now tagged with enemy. So we're going to destroy ourselves, and we'll destroy the other thing at the same time for now. So there's still no explosion effect, but boom. Now it doesn't collide against the base. You have to hit the top part. And it would be very easy to have a script. Every time one of these things gets killed, it can check the level, how many enemies are left alive. If no enemies are left alive, you win. Right? That's something. But we want to make an explosion effect. I'm going to make the explosion effect, and that'll be the end of this because my voice is about to give out. So, man, explosion effects, there's a trillion bajillion different ways of doing this as well. So again, I'm going to put this bullet in here just for a sense of scale. Come in here a little bit. I'm going to create a new empty. And this is going to be thermal det explosion. And this empty is just going to contain a particle system. Which is not going to loop. Well, no, we'll loop it for now. So particle systems are fun. Right? They throw out all kinds of little particles and things. By default, it's going to do a cone sort of sideways, which is kind of silly. Let's rotate it minus 90. It's going to go straight up. The problem is an explosion usually has multiple layers to its effect. Right? It might have some fire sitting there. There's some nice pre-mades actually for some of these. Let's just bring some of those in. Particles. You'll see what I mean. So there might be fire left over, but there might be some chunks that get flung out, and the chunk might be, another little ball or something like that, but with a smoky sort of black particle attached to it. Fire. There we are. Let's derotate this. See, that's a really nice effect if we get rid of the other one. Like that is such a great fire effect. And the best thing to do is to look at the existing particle systems. So again, it's just an empty, but it's got multiple particle systems made up of it for the different effects. The smoke, the flame, the different levels of flame. So this effect seems almost like the sort of thing we want to leave behind on our dummies. It's almost like we don't want to explode the dummy. We just want to leave it on fire, and that's the sign that we've destroyed this thing. Right? There's no light effect on this, is there? It looks like there is, but I don't think it is. I think it's a projector. Light source. Oh, there is a point light on there. Oh, how about that? So again, we're going to kind of cap out on the number of light sources we can have in the scene. Does look pretty good though. Whoosh. Kind of like that. Maybe we'll just do that. We can change the tag once he's dead, so he's no longer going to register as an enemy, and we'll just set him on fire. Yeah, the Pro version does a lot of things very, very nicely. Okay, so we're not going to destroy the game object. We're going to, I think we can change the tag. I don't think it's read-only, but I might be wrong. Try that. This needs the needs a fire effect. So we'll spawn a fire where the thing is. We're going to destroy our own ball. Good. So our thermal detonator, which is on the prefabs, needs a fire effect. I don't remember, were we using fire or were we using flame? Flame. Get rid of this explosion. So now, oh, we do need to predefine the tags. Okay. Or untagged. I guess we'll just set it to untagged. Boom. So miss, hit. It's not, it's not quite right. I think there needs to be another explosion first. I think there needs to be an explosion from the thermal that hits, and then everything bursts into flames. But, it's not bad. It's a start. Again, next week, instead of Ladamdar, I will probably revisit this. We'll see, unless we get a brilliant idea for a simple game that we can make relatively shortly. Wow, it's really laggy. Just notice you guys are really far behind. But, yeah. So that's as far as we're going to go today. If you guys have any questions, I will be posting this on YouTube, so please go to the comments on Quill18 Creates if you've got any other questions. And but you can see, everything takes time, but each individual step doesn't take a lot of time. It's all a question of polish. And I would, what I would do is I would fill up this map with more intricate geometry to deal with, and run around it, try to see how quickly you can destroy everything, have a timer going, the timer will stop as soon as you kill the last one. You could have the timer start when you pass sort of a starting line. So again, I had originally planned on having this area right here be the place where the player starts, and maybe put an invisible barrier here, and as soon as you cross it, that's when the time starts, and then you just have to run through the map, figure out the best path to go through, try to kill everything. Thermal detonators aren't particularly accurate. I did want to do a ray tracing weapon, but I've run out of steam here, so that will have to wait until next time. But you could imagine going through this with something that's much more snipery and just speeding through the whole level. Boom, 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 run to the next room, boom, boom, run to the next room, boom, boom. Especially if there's any sort of obstacles, anything that you have to leap over, avoid, just time right to get through. And it becomes sort of a parkour race, whatever. I mean, you could have open pits, you could enable something like, you could do, maybe if you have double jumping, then there's all kinds of skill available there. Maybe you can rocket jump using these thermal detonators, which is not hard to do. When it explodes, you can have it find all objects that are near it and just apply that sort of physics force to it to make that really convincing explosion effect. The player needs slightly different application because, again, it's not a true physics object, but you can have the player blown back by an explosion and you can have them be rocket jumping. Can the player even take damage? If it's just time-based, maybe you can't. There's just things that slow you down somehow. I don't know. There's interesting game mechanics that can be explored there, but there you go. I mean, Imagine we were doing this for London Dare. 9 o'clock, the announcement comes. It is now 11:15. We've got this much of the game done. We've got 2 days left to polish it up. First-person shooter, Unity 3D, not difficult. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.